All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? Back Tuesday after the Memorial Day yesterday. Short week, but not a short slate. We got 10 games on the docket. No Yankees, no Coors Field. Fun slate, pitching. There's a couple decent arms, and then there's kind of everybody else. And then in terms of offense, it's the Yankees, right? The Yankees is kind of the clear-cut stack. The Yankees and obviously the Dodgers, but definitely Yankees projections-wise, playing out in that Kauffman Stadium. We'll do our best to break it all down here. Got my guy Gyiraszin like I do each and every Tuesday and Wednesday. Gyiraszin, glad to be back with you here on a baseball show. I'm sure you had quite the extravagant Memorial Day weekend, I'm sure. A lot of safety meetings. A lot of cold beverages, some time at the lake, I'm sure. Overall, probably just a really solid weekend. I'll bring you in, man. How's your week going? Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, Memorial Day weekend. I was out there celebrating all of those who, dedicated the ultimate sacrifice for us to be free Americans. But, yeah, I mean, hey, it was fun. Played some cornhole. Had a good time. I actually, Nade's got in a tournament. It was like 20 people in it, and I drew the blind guy. He was like legally tight blind, and we still end up winning. My man hit a shot, an airmail to like keep us in a game. It was like incredible. It was like shit you just make the stories up about. But yeah, it was good times. Had a lot of fun. But I'm more tired from just like putting shit away and doing shit around the yard and, getting all the summer stuff out in AIDS. Like, here we finally look like we turned a corner around here. Michigan, it's like 80 some degrees. It's beautiful outside. But, yeah, I mean, just all the stuff you got the wife makes you put away from the backyard for the winter and, all that stuff. You got to get it out. But, hey, it could be worse. It could be putting it away and it could be winter. But then that means football's here, and I like football. But, I mean, hey, it's still – having a good time with some baseball. But yeah, you're right. Today's slate, we got some kind of higher end pitching. The lower end kind of looks pretty scary. And then, you got the two best offenses facing some two shitty pitchers. So, I mean, in two best offenses, I mean, Yankees, Dodgers. I mean, that's not really too hard to figure out. But yeah, so, I mean, yeah, we got a decent slate today. It seems like we don't have any weather for a change. It's been raining like balls everywhere. All over the country, it seems like the last week or two. Nade's like, how about yesterday? Was it yesterday that St. Louis Reds game got canceled? And they had like 20% ownership all across the board. But, yeah, I mean, hey, decent night of some baseball. We got Tuesday night. I'm going to get out of here when I'm done, Nades. We're going to set our lineups. I'm going to go up to the bowling alley. I bowl in the hot box in the summer. Got to keep my game sharp, boy. Got to keep my game sharp. So I get up there, Nades, and get a little practice games in, but it's good time. When they weren't in practice, it's a league, but it's still good times.
Yeah, should be fun. That was actually Sunday when that game got rained out there. It does feel like a Monday today. It is a Tuesday, so it wasn't yesterday, but your thinking was right with obviously no Monday on the workday this week, thanks to all the men and women out there sacrificing their lives so we can enjoy some nice cold beverages, some time at the lake, some time on the golf course, and more importantly, some day baseball with no work on the docket there. So should be fun there. Got to give a shout out to our guy Sean Sully. He had himself a pretty solid weekend overall. He's getting pretty hot. Our guy Lukey, when he tunes in, he shipped the $4.20 max last night. Congrats to him. We had a big night last night. A lot of good calls by me and Bellman overall on the show and in the slate plan. I think we broke down the slate pretty solid overall. Brewers got the job done for the most part. There'll be a talking point on the slate here tonight again. We got Gangrene in here, Stoner, Warren Tyler, Philly fan. Like I said, Taco Todd wins a lot. And, yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Let's go ahead and pull up SaberSim here. Gyiraszin, we're going to talk pitching. We're going to go 8K and above, and then we'll talk about the lower tier. The lower tier is fairly loaded here on the slate, but the top tier here, Sandy Alcantara gets the matchup against the Blue Jays there. I don't know what the roof status is there. I know I saw some reports of possibly that roof being open up there in Toronto, which wouldn't shock me. I see the weather here in Wisconsin's been like it's supposed to be in the 80s all week, so we're finally hitting that turn just like you are there in Michigan. So don't know about the roof status there, but nonetheless, low strikeout matchup there for Sandy against the Blue Jays. Jack Leiter against the right-handed heavy Astros. He seems like a pretty decent play. Emerson Hancock kind of regressed a little bit. His strikeout stuff kind of coming back down to about a league average arm. Not a great place to pitch out there in that Cracker Jack Park with some hot and some pretty solid hitting conditions, I will say, out there in Sacramento, obviously. But it's really focal point up in the top tier is Leiter, and then the four guys at the top: Schlittler, Burns, Harrison, Joe Ryan. For me, Chase Burns is the SP1 on the slate with the discount, and you do get off of Schlittler. Chase Burns has just been elite this year, especially if there is no Juan Soto in that Mets lineup, which is confirmed. It does look like he's back in there, but still, I think Chase Burns is smart enough not to let Juan Soto beat him in that AAA lineup there. But definitely some home run issues that he can have at times just with how hard he throws, and another hard thrower up at the top in Schlittler, right? So I think both Schlittler and Burns are really interesting. Kyle Harrison's been absolutely incredible. Mizorowski just absolutely mowed down this Cardinals lineup. Now you get a lefty up there against the Cardinals where some of their better hitters do hit from the left side. I think he's really interesting in tournaments. And then Joe Ryan at 9K. He's been really good this year. White Sox bats do have some power to get to him. Guys like Montgomery, Benintendi, Murakami for sure. But he does have definitely a ceiling on the slate. So I think those five arms kind of focal point of the starting pitching overall, but none of them are bulletproof by any means. And there is some cheap guys we can play, but how do you see this top tier 8K and above?
Yeah, we'll start with old Sandy Alcantara. I can't play him with that low strikeout rate he's got against the Blue Jay team that just doesn't have any strikeouts. And we're not really that desperate for some pitching today to try to sacrifice that. So I'd scratch off Sandy. Jack Leiter, I think, is the guy that, was just kind of looking at, knowing that how much better he's been against righties. I mean, he's been almost at 31% K rate against a 20% K rate to lefties. So like you mentioned, Houston going to roll out a bunch of righties today. I think Leiter's pretty interesting. I'm not really too scared of that Houston lineup. So I'd keep Leiter in my back pocket. That's for sure. Hancock, man, I mean, I think he's interesting. The thing for me is I just don't like the park. Just not really all a fan of stretching it out, trying to play Hancock in a situation where I just don't like it. I mean, he's got a 26% K rate, which isn't all that bad. I think I would rather I'd rather just kind of stack against him, to be honest, with the A's. Joe Ryan now, I mean, we're getting up in the top four. When you look at the four here, I mean, these guys, all four have the strikeout capability. I mean, Schlittler at 29%, Harrison 32%, Ryan 27%, Burns 28%. So when I look at the four matchups here, I mean, you got a $1,500 price difference between Ryan and Schlittler being 10.5. Burns gets the Mets. The Mets just flat out suck. So for me, that's pretty much already the deciding factor. Really, to go too far into it, Nades, is how bad the Mets have been. So for one, Burns would be my SP1 just for that alone, just for them playing the Mets. And then Harrison's just been so good recent times. He's had double-digit strikeouts here in recent times. Harrison gets the St. Louis team, as you mentioned, got mowed down by Miz yesterday. I think Harrison and Burns are literally SP1 and SP1A for me. I think they're both. You could literally look, but the deciding factor for me would be the Mets being against Burns. He's just so bad. I think Schlittler is a pretty good pivot off the two. I think the two cash pairing is going to be Burns and Harrison on DK, but I think Schlittler is a pretty good pivot off of those two. More so than Ryan. Ryan, I'm really concerned about his lefty struggles. He just hasn't been all that good against lefties. And Murakami, they got some guys that are just been smacking the shit out of some righties. So I think that'd be a reason for concern against Joe Ryan. But, the strikeouts are there for him. But for me, I think I'd go Burns because of the matchup. Harrison right real close behind him. Then I got Schlittler. And then, truthfully, I think I'd rather play Leiter than Ryan for me. And then I'd probably have Hancock. But yeah, I mean, Ryan does scare me a little bit, Nate. I know he's up there. A lot of people like Joe Ryan. I think I'm giving the White Sox a little bit more credit maybe than some others. I mean, they've just been smacking the shit out of righties. So I do have a concern there. But I mean, how can you argue Chase Burns against the Mets? Mets is just bottom of the league in every offensive category there basically is. And Burns has just been so good. We're in New York too. It's not like we're in the Great American Small Park either. So being out there in New York, the matchup he's got with the Mets, I mean, what does he really got to worry about? Soto? Other than that, I mean, it's that lineup's trash. So, yeah, Burns for me, SP1. Harrison real close. So, and on FanDuel, I think I'd rather play Harrison on FanDuel a little bit more than Burns. But I do like them both. I like them. I think both of them. Schlittler's got a matchup against the Royals too that as the pivot that I think isn't all that bad. I mean, you just kind of look up and down here at what the Royals are bringing to the table. They don't have all that many strikeouts, but you get to the bottom of that lineup with Jensen, Thomas, Caglione. They all got some strikeouts there, but the top of that Royals lineup isn't really something we want to attack for strikeouts. But Schlittler's just been so good at recent times. I think you definitely would be a disservice to take him out of your pool today, even though he's the most expensive. And I think there's some guys that could keep up with them. But hey, if Leiter can keep the ball over the plate and not walk anybody, I think Leiter is the guy that I think is definitely interesting today. And just kind of looking at some of these walk percentages that we have for the Astros. I mean, overall, they're a pretty patient team. I wouldn't say overly patient. I mean, they do have 5 guys that walk a lot. They got 3 that not so much. Cole don't ever walk. Smith don't walk. Christian Walker doesn't really walk all that much. So, I think Leiter can navigate through that lineup. And I think for him, that for me, Nades is a guy I think that I really like in tournaments today. I mean, this kid definitely got some electric stuff, and I think he can get the job done at home today.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. My rankings do slightly differ a little bit, but I'll go Chase Burns, my SP1. I'll go Jack Leiter, salary and everything, matchup, everything is kind of the SP2 for me, just because I like the discount there. Cam Schlittler will be 3, Kyle Harrison 4, and then Joe Ryan is the 5th guy for me. But he's a pretty decent drop below those other 4 guys. Just I'm a little worried about the lefty power there with the White Sox. Ryan does take a hit, obviously, against lefties. Murakami, Montgomery, Antonassi, Drew Romo, Benintendi, Tristan Peters. He's got a lot of lefties in that lineup, right? They're going to throw 6 or 7 lefties against him overall. Does he have the strikeout ability to get through anyone, especially this on paper fairly weak White Sox team? Yeah, but if you take a look at how the White Sox been, I mean, they're top 10 in OPS over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, and Joe Ryan does have struggles against the lefties in general. So for me, that is enough to put him 5th at 9K. I really like Chase Burns, Schlittler, Leiter, and Harrison, though. Those are kind of the 4 pitchers that are going to kind of mainly headline my pool. I do have Harrison a little bit behind the other guys just because, number 1, the ownership, but number 2, the Cardinals just don't strike out a ton against lefties. And I know Harrison has been absolutely incredible this year, 32% K rate. Overall, K prop is sitting at 6.5, juice to the over, right, which is right there in line with a guy like Cam Schlittler and Chase Burns. Chase Burns, a little bit better K prop, but obviously you have the salary there as well. So I don't have any arguments with Burns and Harrison being SP1 and 2, but they're so close for me between those 3 up at the top in Schlittler, Burns, and Harrison that I think the ownership discount's pretty decent on a guy like Cam Schlittler, who is just going to pound the zone, throw hard. He's right there upwards. I mean, he just throws hard, right? And he just beats you with heat. We saw what Mizorowski can do, obviously, and he's not the same kind of caliber there. But between him and Chase Burns, they both are hard strike throwers. They have good stuff. So I like the upside on all 4 of those guys for sure. Joe Ryan would be the guy that I'm a little bit under on. And I'd rather just save the $900 and go to Jack Leiter at similar ownership. Down below 8K, I think there is some arms down here you can play. I think Erod is a little interesting here out in that pitcher's ballpark there in San Fran. He's going to be one of the lower options, 7,600. He's been pretty decent overall. There is some righties there, like Harrison Bader is just mashing right now, and obviously he gets a platoon advantage there. But this Giants team on paper is just, they haven't been good. They're not a great offense by any means. So I think he can do enough. He's going to have the pitch count. So I do like him at 7,600. I think the other, and then I think it's just dropping all the way down. Sean Burke, I think, is interesting. Eric Lauer, I think, is playable. And then David Peterson. Those are kind of the four guys below 8K that I'm looking at. Not going to really mess with Randy Vasquez. I think Michael McGreevy is due for some big-time regression. His underlying metrics look very scary and very alarming. I'm on the Brewers to attack him. Bellman and I talked about it yesterday with McGreevy and what's his face that went yesterday for the Cardinals. Their underlying metrics are just kind of alarming there. So for me, it's kind of those four guys down here. But what do you see below 8K? And I do want to make a note that Luis Severino did get scratched for the A's. So they're calling up prospect Gage Jump, number 2 in their organization. We looked at his stats a little bit ahead of the show, Gyiraszin, when we were talking. Looks like a pretty decent strikeout arm, but he also looks pretty wild with a double-digit walk rate at AAA, which is usually pretty alarming because AAA hitters are not like the major league hitters where they're a lot more patient. So he looks like a potential high strikeout arm, but also a high walk arm in that ballpark out there. But he is only $7,000. So talk to me down below 8K.
Yeah, I mean, it does get ugly pretty quick. When we're talking about Erod being one of our favorites, out of a handful of guys, we're in trouble. And speaking of Erod, he's like the 5th highest priced pitcher on FanDuel. He's almost like 10K on FanDuel. Like he's literally like right behind Joe Ryan and Harrison. I mean, it's I kind of chuckled a little bit. There's no way in hell I'd play him on FanDuel. But DK at 7,600, I don't think that's all that bad. I think that's a pretty decent price for him at that range. So I do like him. San Francisco, like you mentioned, we like the park. They've just been absolutely horrible against lefties. So I think Erod's definitely in play. Willie Damas was a guy I always liked against lefties, but he just doesn't seem to be on point here so far this year. So I think he's interesting. Moving on down, Vasquez got backed up from yesterday. I'm not really interested in him and his low strikeouts. McGreevy, as you mentioned, I just really can't do it there against the Brewers. I mean, McGreevy is kind of a heavy ground ball pitcher, not really looking for kind of strikeouts against a Brew Crew team. Nola, I think, is interested. I think Derek just put it here. He's got a 6K prop. San Diego sucks. Yeah, but I memean, Nola, that's like the whiskey play, right? Like you're going to have to get you a bottle of whiskey and put that shit next to the table if you got quite a bit of Aaron Nola, or, you only got a few teams and you got Aaron Nola on it. Nola is just one of those guys that just scares you. He's just hard to trust. But, the Padres just been so bad that I think you definitely can leave Aaron Nola in your pool. But, just be aware that that is definitely can blow up on you at any point in time. So I don't mind Aaron Nola, especially on a slate like this today, as you mentioned with San Diego. Night games at San Diego too, when you get that heavy air fog coming through there off the bay, that definitely keeps those balls from flying. But I see some guys talking about Peterson at home, 5,700 against the Reds. Obviously, if you're going to want to play against the Reds, lefty isn't a bad place to go. It's just pretty tough to want to play a guy that cheap, against the Reds. But if you look at him, he's had 15, 19 points in his last 4 starts. If you're telling me, Nades, I'm going to get 19 points out of $5,700 pitcher right now, I think I'd pretty much be pretty happy with that. So, especially to help me get some of these bats I'm going to want tonight. So I don't think Peterson is necessarily another bad play, but again, I think that's when you're going to have the whiskey bottle next to you too. That's why I was saying, this low end, there's some guys you're going to, you can play, but it's just not the most comfortable situations. But yeah, I mean, really, Nade's for me, the guy that I'd lean on probably that I'd feel the most safest with is Erod. I have no interest in him on FanDuel at the price he has, but 7,600 on DK, that seems to be a pretty good value. So I think Erod for me over there in San Fran be a guy I like. And you talked about jump there for the A's. And I didn't get to see like when he pitched last, like if he's, 3-4 days out or they jam him in an extra day, is he on his 5th day? I think that too would kind of help me gauge on what maybe kind of pitch count this kid could get. I mean, they could be telling him, Nate, you give me a good 60 pitches tonight, and then you're going to get this shitty bullpen, which, we like to attack. But you mentioned his walk rate was like over 12%. So that's definitely alarming. His strikeouts were there, that's for sure. But I mean, when we're going to be sitting there looking at a Seattle team, as far as the team we're going to want to, attack with some strikeouts, I mean, they're the really only guy you got Refsnyder if he's going to be in there today, Garver maybe a little bit, but everybody else is all below major league average. So it's not like the Mariners, they're sitting on a ton of Ks to where I feel like, it's a team like maybe the Angels we'd want to attack, or some team that does strike out quite a bit against certain sides of the mound. But yeah, for me, I think I'd rather attack the kid, to be truthful, than to go up against him, especially in that home run crackerjack park they play out there in Sacramento. But I'm not interested in Lauer. Freeland, no thanks. Molly, no thanks. I mean, it just gets pretty thin down below. But Erod for me would be the guy I'd play on DK.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. Erod's probably my favorite down here. I do have a more interest in Engage Jump just at 7K because I don't think anybody's going to play him because nobody knows who he really is. You look at Seattle over the last month against left-handed pitching, 25% K rate. This Jump kid has a 33% K rate in the minors. I don't exactly believe that's going to obviously translate. There is some walks there and issues there, but at 7K, I mean, he's got a 4.5K prop juice to the over. Vegas tends to agree he's going to get strikeouts, and he's $7,000 at no ownership when guys are going to play guys like Sean Burke. Nola's going to be much higher owned than him. So I don't mind taking a shot on him. I think, again, I'm going to be very heavily exposed up to the top, that I'm probably going to mix and match these guys down here as kind of SP2 options. So I do like Erod the most with you there. Sean Burke would be probably my second guy. And then I'm probably going to Gage Jump, David Peterson, and then Nola and Lauer would be significantly behind those guys. I don't know if I really even get to Noah and Lauer too much with the other guys around them. So for me, it's Erod, Jump, Burke, Peterson are kind of the main guys down below 8K that I have interest in. I just do.
He was an LSU boy.
Yeah, he's an LSU boy.
Did he pitch with Skeens? I wonder. He had to be about that time, right?
And it is his time for the rotation too. He last pitched on May 20th, went 7 innings, where he had 9 strikeouts. So 9 strikeouts, 7 innings, no hits, or 4 hits, no runs, no earned runs. Obviously that's AAA, but again, I mean, he's got the pitch count. He went 7 innings, right? And he's been pitching every 6 days. So it is his time for the rotation down there. So it's not like he's extended rest or short rest or anything like that. So I think it just makes sense why they called him up. It is his time to his turn to pitch in the rotation anyway. So at 7K, you're probably looking at right around 90 pitches or so. I think he's interested against a team that does strike out a lot against left-handed pitching. I mean, you're gonna have guys like Victor Robles in there, Rob Refsnyder. I mean, yeah, Randy Arozarena, Mitch Garver, Julio, those guys can hit home runs, but they also strike out a bunch. I mean, 25% K rate over the last month against left-handed pitching. I know the weather, or I know the park isn't great, but this guy does have more of a ground ball lean anyways. He's kind of a ground ball strikeout guy in general. So I probably talked way too much about a guy who's probably going to get shellacked coming up into the majors with his walk issues there. But on a slate like this, where I think it's fairly interesting, especially in like your Yankees and your Dodgers teams that everybody else is going to play, taking a shot at a $7,000 gauge jump, I don't think is the worst play in the world there. Think we broke down pitching pretty well overall. Let me go ahead and refresh the stone over here and share this tab. First game on the main slate. Obviously, we got the early games on here as well. When you are a member at Shipping Nation, you get access to all of this for all of the games on the day, even the early window, because there is, I think, a turbo slate as well over there if you're interested in more action. First game, though, on the main slate here for the 10 games, Blue Jays and the Marlins. Like I said, I thought the roof was going to be open here in Toronto. I don't know for a fact. Maybe someone in the chat can help us out here. Miles going to be kind of it's going to be more of a Blue Jays bullpen game, which does hurt, obviously, kind of anyone's love if they had any love for the Marlins. I think you can grab some cheap guys like a Joe Mack, something like that, right, as at a one-off catcher position. He is a big-time prospect overall for the Marlins. But this is a game I don't love from an offensive standpoint. The Blue Jays are kind of interested in Jesus Sanchez, Dalton Varsho. I think are interested in some of those lefties against Sandy. But overall, don't love this spot for offense on this slate. But what do you see here in this one to kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, if I was to look at anything, I guess, you could maybe look at some Marlins if you wanted to. I just don't like picking on that Toronto bullpen. But, I mean, Marlins have been pretty good here in recent time. Xavier Edwards has been good. Hicks has been good. Fisher does have 28% strikeout to lefty, 27% to the righties. But, I mean, he's been getting barreled up, Nades, 13% to the left side, almost 11% to the right side. So his fly ball percentage is almost 37% to the left side. So Hicks, Stowers, Marcy, I think could be interesting. But, I just don't like attacking bullpen type games. Who knows? This guy, you're only going to probably see this guy once anyway. So it's not like I'm going to get overly excited about it. But, I mean, the Marlins, too, seems like in recent times have been hitting the ball pretty well, at least better for them normally do. They're actually in the middle of MLB, but yeah, I don't mind the Marlins. I wouldn't have them in my 3 or 4 team portfolio if I was playing 3 or 4 lineups tonight. But I mean, if I was playing 20, I may have a little exposure to some Marlins.
Yeah, I have more interest in the lefties from the Blue Jays than I do on the Marlins side of things, just because Fisher's going to throw 1 inning, and then you're looking at probably 2 or 3 innings from Miles here, and then who knows what. And Blue Jays, one of the better bullpens in baseball in terms of xFIP and WHIP and all of that. So, yeah, if I had interest, it'd be more on the Blue Jays side. You want the lefties. Jimenez, you got a cheap shortstop there if you don't want to play Mookie Betts chalk. Penango, as a cheap guy with some power, doesn't really strike out. 2,600, nice value there. Varsho and Sanchez at 3,800 and 3K. I mean, that's dirt cheap there. And Springer has been red hot. I mean, it doesn't matter righty, lefty, whoever he sees. And Sandy's not going to be in there forever. But yeah, lefties are what get Sandy. The roof is open, which helps the case a little bit. And then you got that Miami bullpen, which is not good, right? 7th worst in baseball. So I think on a slate where offense is so focused around, well, it was Seattle, it is kind of the secondary team to fit in your Yankees and your Dodgers full stacks. I think the Blue Jays do have a spot on the slate. One of the higher implied run totals, going to be unowned on this slate. And yeah, Sandy Alcantara is a decent arm and a decent talent, but against lefties, he's not been great this season. And Blue Jays have some cheap lefties in there with the roof open, and then you got a bad bullpen behind. So I do think the Blue Jays in tournament's pretty interesting overall. Next spot on the slate, this is no bats really for me. If you want to get the leverage word, you can. David Peterson, nothing crazy, but he's more of a ground baller. I mean, the dude, he's $5,700. So yeah, I mean, you can obviously play Sal Stewart, Spencer Steer, Eugenio Suarez against the lefty there, but I'm more on Peterson than I'm on the Reds bats. I'm not chasing the Reds explosion after they beat up Nolan McLean last night. The Reds are, they do this all the time, Gyiraszin. How many times have we seen it? The Reds are majority of the time going to give the opposing starting pitchers a ceiling game, but occasionally they're going to break a slate and go off like they did last night and score a shit ton of runs when nobody's on them. So they're always a capability, but I don't like Citi Field. I don't like the ballpark. I think Peterson's good enough arm, and I don't love picking any bats really against Chase Burns. If you wanted a lefty and Juan Soto, he's fine. AJ Ewing, he's fine. Because even if he walks either one of those guys, Ewing for sure will steal second. So you do have some stolen bases there, but not a game I'm really interested too much on offense. I think the Soto Ewing, a little mini stack, Carson Bench, something like that in non-Chase Burns teams, I think is interesting. And maybe you go like a Cam Schlittler in that type of build. You're playing the guy up at top that everyone's stopping at Chase Burns and not going all the way up to Schlittler. You play some of these Mets value guys, more so Ewing and Benj against Chase Burns, but more pitching than offense in this one for me.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to pick on Burns with the Mets. As we said, they're the worst damn team offensively in baseball. Peterson, I mean, maybe the only guy I think about is maybe Spencer Steer. He's been really hitting righties or lefties really well here in recent times. But, I mean, the Reds' hottest hitter is J.J. Bleday. We don't really like that lefty-lefty matchup with Peterson. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in really full stacking or anything. Like I said, maybe you could look at Steer, maybe Sal Stewart, but other than that, I don't like switching Ellie around to the right side. Even though he has been hitting more homers off the left side, I think he's already got as many this year already as he does all last year against when he's batting right-handed. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to pass on it. Like you said, I don't like the field either. I think there's some other spots that we can definitely attack.
Yeah, I mean, there is wind blowing out here, so it's going to play better than it typically does here, but I think it's far-fetched. I mean, Chase Burns is an electric arm. Shit can always go south, obviously. And, yeah, if you wanted to play the Reds, I think there's a place on the slate because they're going to be unowned. Tyler Stevenson has some pop against the lefty. Like I said, he's 3,100. Eugenio Suarez, Steer, Stewart. Those are kind of the guys you're looking at there. Peterson is a ground baller, but Stevenson, Stewart, Steer, Ellie, McLean, those guys all hit the ball in the air. So those are guys you'd look at to attack Peterson. And again, Peterson is $5,700 for a reason. I'm more on side of play Peterson in my lineups because what it does for your overall roster. But everybody's going to have that, and they're going to stack up the Dodgers and the Yankees with a guy like David Peterson in their build. So maybe you flip the build, right? You go 2 spend up arms and then play some of these Reds guys who are pretty cheap to leverage the Peterson kind of rosters overall there. So don't mind that, but yeah, definitely not one of my priority games for offense overall. Next spot on the slate here, Twins and the White Sox. Got some wind blowing in here in Chicago. Going to be right around 80 degrees, so pretty hot here in the Midwest overall. Not the best ballpark by any means, but again, temperatures in the low 80s. You got about 6 miles an hour wind blowing in here, which isn't as effective as what Wrigley Field is. Lefties are what you want against Joe Ryan. White Sox are going to throw 7 lefties out against Joe Ryan. That's kind of why both of you and I had Joe Ryan down in our rankings. He definitely has a ceiling, but he's kind of a league average arm against left-handed hitters. I think the White Sox in tournaments here at no ownership are pretty damn sneaky. Murakami's price has finally dropped down. This dude feels like he hits a home run every night. Colson Montgomery's starting to hit back up a little bit as well. 4,300 direct pivot at shortstop off of Mookie Betts at a fraction of the ownership. So I think he's really interesting. Antanasi has speed as well at 3,800. Benintendi, Drew Romo has pop at a catcher position. I think the White Sox here in tournaments are pretty damn sneaky, and we know that Twins bullpen is really bad behind Ryan. So if these lefties can get to Joe Ryan, and Joe Ryan only goes 4 innings, 4 1/3, 4.5, even 5 innings, you still have 3 innings at least of that Twins bullpen behind him. Twins, not so much. Byron Buxton, Brooks Lee would be the 2 guys, and Cody Clemens. Those kind of top 4, I think, are interesting. But outside of that, not very interested in the Twins, more so on the White Sox side in this one. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think both sides are kind of interesting. But as you mentioned, with the White Sox, Joe Ryan, with the lefty struggles that he has, fly ball percentage almost 30%. He's been getting barreled up almost 13%. And I mean, Murakami's this dude's been just an absolute beast. I think Montgomery's interesting. You can get a cheap outfielder in Benintendi. I don't mind that at all either. So I think they're interesting. As you mentioned, Twins bullpen sucks. I mean, I'm just not all that enamored about, picking on Joe Ryan, especially with a slate where it seems like we do have quite a bit of pitching that we want to go after. But I think the White Sox would definitely be cool. As far as the Twins go and Burke, I mean, Burke gives up quite a lot of fly balls to the left side. Buxton's been absolutely smashing righties so far this year. He's got a 453 WOBA against righties. That's video game type numbers. Cody Clemens hits the ball pretty hard against righties as well. So I think he'd be interesting. As you mentioned, they're fairly cheap. There is a lot of pinch hit risk there in that Twins lineup. But I think Buxton's a great one-off, especially sitting up at the top of that lineup. I think he'd be a guy I'd be looking to try to get in my lineups here tonight. But, yeah, them lefties for the White Sox are standing out. And the White Sox in the last 2 weeks are like top 6, top 7 in all of baseball and OPS. So, I mean, they've been getting the job done here in recent times. So, White Sox for me against a shitty bullpen. We just got to get through Joe Ryan a little bit, which, he's been giving up a lot of fly balls. The left side, yeah, I think it's doable. I think we could attack Joe. I just wish he had a little bit more, where he's going to get more ownership so we could get a little bit more leverage. I would really like it. But I don't think Brian's going to get as much ownership as we would like to see. But, I'd lean the White Sox side instead of Joe Ryan.
Yeah, I'm there too. White Sox over the last month, 9th in baseball and OPS at 723. Actually right there tied with the Twins against right-handed pitching. So I think both sides are in play. I'd stick to the top 4 guys really for the Twin side, but I have much more interest in the White Sox side because I do think you get some nice little leverage off Joe Ryan there, and that Twins bullpen is just absolutely atrocious behind him. So I do think a pretty interesting game is kind of the second-tier offenses that is a little bit under the radar than teams like the Yankees, which we're going to talk about now overall. Going out to Kauffman Stadium, it's going to be a bullpen game here for the Royals, and usually I don't love bullpen games, and I mean it's a little different though when you're facing the Royals bullpen here, which is not good. They're going to throw a lefty opener out there, and then it's probably going to be Avila here in the long relief. Daniel Lynch is their other lefty that they do have in the bullpen here that would be available. He pitched the last 2 days, only threw 8 and 7 pitches, so 15 pitches, but I don't know if he really goes 3 days in a row. Nonetheless, you're going to see the Yankees here against the righty for probably a majority of this game outside of the first inning or two. Have to have a ton of interest in them. They are going to be the most popular stack on the slate, but it's not like we're going to see Coors Field ownership here. I think the Yankees are definitely interesting here. I think they're up there, but I do have them kind of third in terms of my rankings. I have the Dodgers and a different team, another team we're going to talk about a little bit ahead of them, but Yankees for sure, obviously on paper, probably one of the best stacks on the slate here. There is some pinch hit concerns. Guys like Ahmed Rosario, if he starts, he's coming out of there. Schoenemann, if he starts, he's coming out of there for some of those other lefties off the bench there. So pay attention to the lineup that does come out with the Yankees because, like I said, Rosario, Goldschmidt's probably fine in there because he's been playing even against righties, so he's probably fine, but definitely Rosario and Schoenemann, if those guys are in there, they're definitely big pinch hit concerns. I wouldn't play them. I'd focus on the other guys, and don't be afraid to play those lefties. Aaron Judge obviously headlines this team overall, but ownership going to be off the charts. That's the only thing that kind of knocks him down here. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, Yankees, Dodgers sitting up at the top of the team totals here today. So, ain't going to be too much of a reach to say they're the top teams today. But, yeah, Yankees grade really well today. You mentioned a little bit about the pinch hit. I think Calabrero, if he's up there higher in the lineup, he could be a pinch hit risk too. But other than that, pretty straightforward. Yankees got a bad bullpen. They got a park with a shorter the fences moved in. So, yeah, I think the Yankees are definitely in a really good spot today. I don't even call them my favorite. I'm going to say the Dodgers are my favorite, but the Yankees are definitely right there.
Yeah, I have the Yankees, or I have the Dodgers ahead of the Yankees as well. And then I have a team in this next game ahead of the Yankees as well when you consider ownership here. McGreevy, his surface numbers are really good, right? His ERA, everything like that. But you peel back the onion here. This dude just does not strike anyone out, especially lefties. His expected ERA is almost 6. He gets barreled up by the left side. Doesn't strike, like I said, just doesn't strike anyone out. You add in the bad Cardinals bullpen behind him, and you add in this game as being a pretty big game for the season in general and the series. I think the Brewers are super interesting here, headlined by the lefties. They didn't get quite the job done yesterday against Palante. He had 10 strikeouts or whatever on the other side of Miz, but a lot of times you see that. You could see it here from McGreevy, but Brewers going to be unowned on a slate when everybody just wants to play the Dodgers and the Yankees. Give me a team that has upside as a whole. You want the lefties, like I said, Jake Bauers, Turang, Yelich kind of headline the three that I want the most. David Hamilton, I think, is really interesting here. But Gyiraszin, I will let you break it down here, and I will run to the bathroom quick. So break down this one and then take us into the Astros and Rangers after. I'll be right back.
Good. Then you don't have to hear me ripping on the Brewers. So, yeah, I don't know, man. If I could play the Brewers, I know Nades is a homer there. So, but either way, you know what happens when you got a ground ball pitcher against a team that hits a lot of ground balls? You get a bunch of ground balls. So, I'm not all enamored with it. I don't like it. McGreevy's had 4 out of 5 starts here recent time, been really good. Of all his starts here, he's only gave up more than 5 hits once twice actually. His last start, he gave up 10 hits, 3 earned runs. He doesn't really walk anybody. I think there's a better spot for us to pick on than right now with McGreevy. Like I said, I just don't like the ground ball leans against the Brewers. I've said it almost probably 4 or 5 times this year against the Brewers. So ground ball lean pitchers, no thanks. I'll pass on that, but I can see why Nades likes them. I mean, they do all the small things well. They steal bags, they do everything else. So I just don't have him ranked up as high. I'd put him 5. I think he's got him like 2 or 3. I'd put him behind the Yankees, Dodgers, and you know what? I think I'd actually kind of like the White Sox in about a similar situation as I like the Brewers today, maybe about the 5th best stack. So, but yeah, Brewers can't argue the recent success, that's for sure. If Tigers keep sucking wind, the Brewers are kind of team that seem to be fun to watch. So, yeah, anybody got any questions? Go ahead, fire it off while he's doing his duties. Let's see here. We can roll into the next one. Houston and Texas. We got Alexander facing this Ranger team against Jack Leiter against the Astros. Just start talking about the Astros and Rangers, Nades. But yeah, for me, going against Jack Leiter, I mean, Leiter does have control issues, so I'm not really sure I'm really interested in the Astros. I think I'd rather play Jack Leiter today, so I will skip out on any Astros bats. The Rangers against Alexander could be interesting, especially the lefties. Alexander has not been very good, 15% K percentage. The fly balls are not there. He has more of a ground ball type lean against lefties. He's actually given up quite a few fly balls actually to the right side. But I think the lefties can get to Alexander. That Houston bullpen is absolutely trash, the worst in baseball. So I think Nimmo, Hamsman Peterson's interesting. I think the Rangers are interesting here today. I don't like really the Houston bats too much, but Nate, you got any interest in the Rangers?
Yeah, one second. I did want to talk about a couple Cardinals bats that I think are interesting. Jordan Walker, Herrera headline it, but I also think Brian Torres at 2,200. I think he's pretty interesting as well against Kyle Harrison. Not a great guy to pick on, obviously, but again, I do think Herrera, Walker, and Torres are fairly interesting. Obviously, Jordan Walker, ton of power. Those guys are going to be unowned, and I think it's pretty interesting. Herrera, direct pivot, a little bit more. I think he's $400 more than Will Smith at 3,800. 4,200 for Herrera. A guy can just match or outdo a guy like Will Smith, who's going to be the mega chalk at the position there. So I did want to call out that. But yeah, I do have interest in the Rangers side here. The roof is going to be closed in Texas. Surprise, surprise. It's probably 120 degrees there. So obviously the roof is going to be closed, but Jason Alexander, horrible against lefties. The Rangers are going to throw 4 lefties. So I don't love the Rangers here as a full stack, but at these prices, I mean, Pedersen's going to get pinch hit for. Osuna's probably a little pinch hit. Nimmo and Evan Carter, though, I think are really, really good plays on this slate. Josh Young's been really good. Jake Berger has power even against a righty. So I do think at the salaries, the Rangers fit the script as kind of that value stack of the slate that isn't getting a lot of ownership, and that probably does come up as projections. But again, if this stays true, I think the Rangers as kind of that value stack make a lot of sense here on this slate. And again, you want the lefties against Alexander. And again, when you add in that how bad that Astros bullpen is, I think the Rangers definitely have a spot. And then on the Astros side, it'd be the lefties you want against Leiter, Jordan headlines. That obviously Jordan's a great play, especially if that holds true, which probably does, because you got guys like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge who are going to command so much ownership up at that 6K range that a guy like Juan Soto, Jordan Alvarez, some of those other 6K, Byron Buxton fits that. I think all three of those guys are elite kind of pivots, even in like Yankees and Dodgers stacks. Feels gross to leave off Aaron Judge. It feels gross to leave off Shohei Ohtani, but you can pivot to another guy up in that top tier that can match the output or even outdo it. And you're naturally different than the rest of the field, just doing that one little 1v1 swapperoo with guys like Jordan Alvarez, Byron Buxton, Juan Soto. So Alvarez fits that build. Shoemake, if you want a cheap second baseman, I think he's interesting. Zach Cole at 2,600. You want the lefties is what you're focused on. Astros don't have great lefty hitters outside of Jordan, but the other lefties they do have that are going to be in there are cheap overall. So definitely more interest on the Rangers side from a stacking perspective. And these salaries are super cheap against mediocre at best starting pitcher and a horrible bullpen behind him. Takes us out to the night window here. Going out to San Diego, Randy Vasquez, Aaron Nola on the mound. I don't love this game from an offense. I see people talking about Padres here. I will call out two Padres bats. Jackson Merrill, 3,700 for him is just ridiculous. I mean, that's criminal. I know he hasn't been incredible by any means, but it's still Jackson Merrill. This dude, we were paying $6K for this guy majority of the last season. No, it's not the same season here, but $3,700 for a dude with his talent and upside against Aaron Nola, who struggles against lefties. I think that's interesting. Gavin Sheets, I think, is really interesting. Outside of that, don't really love this game. On the Philly side, I think you can, right? Randy Vasquez fits kind of that build of surface numbers look good, underlying metrics look bad, but it was pretty much that way all of last year, and he's showing more strikeout ability this year. Harper, Schwarber, I think, are really interesting. Brandon Marsh, I think, is fine. You want the lefties in this game on both sides, but not a game I love from an offense in this ballpark. What do you see here?
Yeah, not a fan of the ballpark. Not a fan really of attacking Vasquez. I mean, if you do, I mean, you want some lefties there, right? Like you said, with Schwarber and Harper, Marsh. His fly ball percentage is almost like 30%. So something we definitely like to go after. He's been getting barreled up at 9%. He's getting barreled up by almost double the right side too. So definitely in play. But man, that San Diego bullpen is just really good too. So it's just not something I feel like I'm gonna get top of a tournament by playing some Phillies here tonight. Now the San Diego side, they just have not been good at all. I can understand why you might want to go after Aaron Nola a little bit here. I mean, Nola's been decent with his ground balls. His fly ball rate's been fairly low. He has been getting barreled up by righties at 10%, 8% to the lefties. But Gavin Sheets is probably the only guy I'd really think about playing here tonight. Nades Sheets, I think, is like third in OPS in all of MLB in the last 2 weeks too. So Sheets has definitely been on fire here in recent times. But I think that'd be about the only guy I'd consider playing him. If I was going to get some more leverage off Nola, and I knew Nola was going to be fairly chalky, Nades, maybe I'd take me a shot on a team like the Padres. But man, I just feel like the Padres is just not a situation that I feel like they're going to be able to flip their lineup over a couple times throughout this game. I just don't see it. They just haven't been doing it all year. So it's kind of hard for me to play teams that I just don't feel can hit their way out of a paper bag. And for me right now, the Padres fit that mold.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Nola's actually been worse over the last month to the right side than he has the left side. Obviously, his walks come up, his power comes up a little bit to the lefties and his hard hits and in barrels and all that. But, I mean, 43 plate appearances over the last month, 12% K rate to the right side, 300 ISO, barrel rate above 11, hard hits are up. So I can get the case, but on a 10-game slate in this ballpark, I don't love it here. Overall, it'd just be Sheets and Merrill, kind of the main guys for me. Fernando Tatis hasn't hit a home run since the Titanic sank in 1912. So don't really want to go on down that train, and I'll play other teams here. And it's not like Nola's getting a ton of ownership. I mean, he's going to be around 20%, so nothing crazy overall there. So I know they have a over a 4 implied run total here. It's just I don't love it here. This team is just brutal overall, and they're not a DFS friendly offense. Oh yeah, I mean, if I didn't want to play this team in Coors Field earlier this year, I definitely don't want to play them here in their home ballpark in this the shitty offensive park in general. Next spot on the slate, we're going out to West Sacramento here. The A's and the Mariners. Emerson Hancock, attackable, definitely with lefties for sure. I think the A's are pretty damn interesting here. Again, I think Hancock kind of regresses back down to kind of a league average strikeout arm. We've kind of seen it already. He gets barreled up as well. Pitching in this ballpark is definitely a significant downgrade for him. Obviously, we're typically pitching out in Seattle. That's true for pretty much the entire Seattle rotation, is they're much worse on the road throughout the course of the season, which naturally makes sense when your home ballpark's one of the best ballparks in baseball to pitch in. Nick Kurtz, Soderstrom, Cortez, I think are really interesting. Jeff McNeil's kind of a contact bat, but second base, weak position, 3,500, makes things work. Prefer kind of more home run hunting here than full stacks on the A side. Mariners I liked a lot more if it was Luis Severino, but it's going to be Gage Jump. Again, I talked about his walk rate that he has down in AAA, which typically even goes higher when you get to the majors because they're much more patient hitters. This Mariners team against lefties is just not as good. J-Rod, I think, is a really good play at 4,800 as a one-off. Randy Arozarena at 5K feels a little expensive for him, but he's a lefty masher. Outside of that, I mean, sure, if you wanted Mitch Garver at 3K, he can definitely hit some home runs. He's made a career really off of left-handed pitching, but majority of the hitters in this lineup hit from the left side, where Gage Jump is, I mean, the dude has a 33% K rate. I know it's AAA, but I still expect him to kind of be above league average, at least in terms of strikeouts. I don't love the Mariners as much as I did. I think their run total is going to drop as we lead up here. Things could obviously go south with this guy making his major league debut here. I don't love it, though, from the Mariners side. Just J-Rod or Arozarena, Garver would be kind of the main guys I'm looking at. What do you see in this one?
You know, I was just checking to see if the over-under went up or down from on the sports books after Jump was put in, and it hasn't moved, Nate. So, you know, Vegas isn't all that concerned. You would think that any baseball, you know, knowledgeable person would think, you know, oh, we got this kid coming up, better situation. Maybe the over-under would drop a little bit, and it doesn't seem to be doing so at this point. So that is a little bit concerning for me. But, I mean, when you look at these two sides, yeah, the lefties for the A's against Hancock's interesting. I mean, Hancock's been interesting so far this year. His strikeouts been up almost 10%, almost on both sides of the plate from last year. Last year, he was like a below average strikeout pitcher, and now he's a few percentage points above league average. Last year, he did struggle quite a bit with lefties with his control. This year, he's been getting barreled up a little bit more by lefties. So, you know, guys like Cortez, Kurtz, Soderstrom, I think are interesting for sure. So I do like the A side. I think the Seattle side now is going to be a little bit more interesting. It could be a little bit more lower owned, but man, J-Rod's been hot. Arozarena's been hot. I think those are two guys that you definitely got to look at. I mean, you know, anytime, it don't matter how good the prospect is, Nades. We've seen it with the guys, you know, different prospects over the years, you know, like, you know, you get some butterflies, you come in your first game, you know, like we don't know what we're going to get yet. But I will say Jump's only 5,500 on FanDuel, as I see right here. You know, Jeff Tiffany mentioned, hey, I'm going to hold my nose and play him at 5K over on FanDuel to help you get some of those big bats. I don't mind that at all. I mean, I know he's 7K over there on DK, so I think he's a much better play on FanDuel than I do DK. But, I mean, you're still sitting at a game total at 9.5. That didn't move. So, I mean, he's not getting any love from Vegas, Nades. I mean, we're giving him way more respect than they're giving him. But I do like the A's lefties more. And I still think Julio and Arozarena are top bats on the slate.
Yeah, I do like them a ton, but I don't think the game total is really ever going to drop much in this ballpark regardless. It's not like Luis Severino is some sort of ace anyways, and you got this ballpark in general, which yields a lot of runs. historically. So it's not like Vegas is going to sit there and drop the game total just because this guy comes in over Severino, especially when you look at that. But I mean, he throws a slider 33% of the time. You take a look at the Seattle bats against the slider on the current season from the left side, 28% K rate. Obviously, he's kind of a fastball slider guy. He does have some couple other pitches, but mainly his arsenal is a fastball and a slider. Even against the fastball, I mean, you're still looking at almost a 25% K rate from the Seattle offense. So the strikeout upside is there. That's kind of why I have some interest. I'd much prefer the A side in this one from an offensive perspective. And yeah, they're going to get ownership, but it's going to be less than the Mariners overall. So I'll take the slight ownership discount there and just hope Gage Jump can get his command under control a little bit. But I do like J-Rod and Arozarena, Mitch Garver, like I said, by a decent margin on this slate. I don't know how I stack them up against other guys in that range, but I do think those guys, definitely J-Rod and Arozarena, are really interesting plays in general. Next game, Giants, Diamondbacks, Erod, Tyler Mahle. We had interest in Erod for sure. Giants just been absolutely abysmal. Casey Schmidt, I think, is interesting. Just he hits lefties really good. Matt Chapman, career-wise, hits lefties good, but this year he can't find water if he fell out of a boat in the Atlantic Ocean. So don't know how that looks. Same thing with Willie Adames. I'm not playing the Giants here. If the Giants beat me in this shitty ballpark, they beat me. Same kind of thing, though, for the D-backs here. I mean, the D-backs have upside, that top three for sure. Marte, Carroll, Perdomo, you can play them anytime they're on the slate. Nolan Arenado has turned back the clock and started to figure out how to hit at the major league level again. Don't love him, though. Waldschmidt does have power and upside as a young prospect there. 3,500 is a decent price point for him. Giants bullpen is not very good. Kind of middle of the road. They're definitely been better than they started the year. So I just don't love this game from offense. If this park beats me, it kind of beats me is kind of how I'm looking at it. It's more of kind of a night slate spot where I'd go in on some of these D-backs in general, but Marte, Carroll, Perdomo would be the three guys that you can definitely look at here. But from an offensive stacking perspective, don't love this game on either side. What do you see here?
Yeah, I'm not interested in any Giants bats against Erod. I think I prefer Erod quite a bit more than I'd even think about playing any of them. But Arizona bats, I mean, if this was in Arizona, I would really like the D-backs against Mahle. Mahle's just not been very good against righties so far this year. He's got a 409 WOBA against him, 196 ISO, a slight ground ball lean. He's been getting barreled up at almost 10%. And he also has a high fly ball percentage to the left side. So I think D-backs are in a decent spot. I'd have them outside my top 6 or 7 here today if I was really digging deep. I'd consider leaving them in, but I just don't like the park. But picking on Mahle ain't a bad thing to do. But just like the park you mentioned isn't the greatest. But, like I said, if it was in Arizona, I think the D-backs would be one of the better offenses on the slate.
Yeah, I definitely think they're pretty interesting, though, for the night slate if you're playing that 4-game night slate, because the Dodgers are going to be like 900% owned on that slate with only the 4 games. It's going to be definitely with the Mariners, the A's, and the Dodgers are obviously going to headline. They're going to headline the main slate, but definitely that night slate. So I think the D-backs are really interesting on that shorter slate. Probably don't get to them, though, on the full 10-gamer here. You could do it, but I don't love it overall. Those top 3, though, I think are pretty interesting in general. Last game to round us out, my favorite overall offense on the slate here. All things considered, the Yankees probably come in higher owned because the Yankees have a lot cheaper bats overall. Will Smith, probably the highest owned bat on the slate, all things considered. He's facing Kyle Freeland. Freeland's given up, 6+ runs in, 3 of his last 4 starts, something like that. I mean, the dude's not good. The Rockies bullpen has been decent, but I mean, if Freeland has one strength that's kind of keeping the ball on the ground at a okay rate, issue is the Dodgers just don't care about that. They just hit the ball in the air, all of them. Their entire lineup. Your guy Kiki is in there, or at least projected to be in there. He's probably gets pinch hit for after Kyle Freeland comes out. Same thing with a guy like Miggy down there at 2,600, but they're dirt cheap. I think they're fine. It's definitely Pages, Hernandez, Will Smith, Mookie are kind of the 4 bats that headline for me. You can obviously always play Ohtani and Freeman, I think, in stacks, including a guy like Freddie Freeman, who's probably going to be the lowest owned Dodger or one of them. I think is really interesting. And even if you play him over Ohtani and you play a different outfielder, like you go like instead of you play 5 Dodgers, right? You leave Ohtani out and you play like a Juan Soto at the outfield at a similar rate, or Yordan Alvarez or Byron Buxton, like I talked about. I think that's interesting. But yeah, Dodgers, best spot on the slate for me. I'm going to be much more in on the Dodgers than I am the Yankees when comparing the two. What do you see here, though, to round us out?
Yeah, I mean, I really like some Dodgers. They Freeland, as you said, I mean, he just sucks balls, man. I mean, this dude, they leave him in there too. Like they don't even care if this guy's pissed off. He gets his 90 pitches in. They don't give a shit how many runs he gives up. 3 earned runs last time, 7, 6, 6, 4. I mean, it's just not been good. But yeah, definitely like this Dodgers lineup up and down. And I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to go after this lineup here and not even really use Shohei. I mean, you can make it a little cheaper and not throw in Shohei if you want. But hey, we got one of my favorite Dodgers at the bottom. Kiki, do you love me? He's about the only one I'd worry about maybe getting pitch hit for. But other than that, Kiki is back. I love some Kiki. I saw him yesterday. I was like, ooh, yeah, we got some Kiki in there. He's cheap too. And he fills a lot of holes. So glad to have him back. But yeah, I mean, I think, Mookie's going to get right. Pages, Will Smith, I think, is in a good spot. Teoscar, I think they're all in a pretty good spot. But Dodgers, for me, are standing out. I mean, Freeland's just been so bad. I mean, just so bad.
Yeah, I agree. That's all 10 games. Talk pitching, talked hitting. Time for the end of the show here. Your favorite 2 pitchers on the slate, your top 3 stacks, and a home run call to round us out, Gyiraszin.
My favorite 2 pitchers on the slate, I am going to say, I'm going to go with Erod and Chase Burns. I think those would be my 2. I think Harrison's in there as well. And you talked me into a little bit of jump, so I'd look at that. 2 favorite stacks, obviously Dodgers, Yankees are up there for me. I think the White Sox might sneak up there a little bit too. And if you want a home run call out of me, I am going to go with, you know what? We're going to go with Brandon Nimmo. It's going to hit a home run off Alexander.
I like that call there. For me, I'm going to go Chase Burns. I'll go Jack Leiter and Sean Burke as kind of three of the other guys. Obviously, I like all of those guys up at the top that we talked about off the top of the show. My stacks, I'm going Dodgers number 1, Brewers number 2, White Sox 3 for me, and then I'll throw in those A's lefties as well as kind of the 4th team to round us out there. My home run call, I'm going to the Brewers. I'm going to Jake Bauers. I think Jake Bauers gets one here. Fly ball guy, 4,400. I think he finds his way over the wall there in American Family Field. And I'll throw in a bonus one. I won't go to one of the lefties from the A's. I will go to the right side, 4,600, projected back cleanup, Brent Rooker as a bonus home run call. That's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. If you're not a member yet, shipitnation.com. Click Join the Nation like you see right here on the screen. Shout out to our guy in the chat that said his last day on the trial. Hopefully he ships and he can stick around here. If you have never signed up yet, 5 days, $19 gets you access to everything we have to offer, all sports like you see here. But hey, you just want baseball? That's fine. We got you covered. Baseball plus Optimizer, $49 a month. You can't, car wash memberships out there nowadays are $40, $50 a month. And you get nothing but a clean car after the fact. Put your money into DFS here, and you got a chance at life-changing money on DraftKings and FanDuel, and let us help you out with that. So, again, that's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Like I said, for Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.